The Thailani were dying. Their crystalline bodies, beautiful but fragile, moved with purpose through the grand observatory that crowned their capital city. Chief Scientist Nara adjusted her breathing apparatus as she studied the projection. The asteroid was massive, its trajectory unmistakable. "The calculations are certain," she told President Teso. "Impact in 87 rotations." Teso's translucent form shimmered with distress patterns, and the Council's response. "They declined our request for intervention." Nara's voice was soft. "We are considered non-essential to galactic stability." The Galactic Council had always treated the Thailani as afterthoughts, intelligent but physically weak, evolving on a world with minimal environmental pressures. Their value to interstellar politics was negligible. "There is one option remaining," said Director Hanu, entering with a data crystal. "We found records of a species from a Class 12 death world. They call it Earth." Class 12. Teso's body paled further. "Those creatures would kill us by accident." "Perhaps," Hanu acknowledged. "But they might also save us when no one else will." 3 weeks later, Commander Dury led their most advanced ship toward the coordinates of Earth's International Space Station. As they approached, she watched the blue-green world through the view screen. "How can anything survive there?" whispered Navigator Siuk. Captain Jinwoo was completing his inspection rounds when the communication system activated without command. "Attention Earth vessel. We come in peace and desperate need. Our world faces extinction." Jinwoo froze. The voice was strange, melodic yet artificial. He tapped his communicator. "Bridge, what's happening?" "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from an unknown craft. It just appeared 500 kilometers off our starboard side. I'm on my way." When Jinwoo reached the bridge, the crew stared at their screens in shock. A ship like nothing humans had ever built hovered nearby. It gleamed with a pearly sheen that seemed to shift colors as it moved. "Have you responded?" Jinwoo asked. "No, sir," said Communications Officer Hana. "We weren't sure if we should." Jinwoo nodded and pressed the comm button. "This is Captain Jinwoo of the International Space Station Harmony. Please identify yourselves." There was a pause. Then, "I am Commander Dury of the Thailani. We have traveled far to seek your help. May we dock and speak?" Jinwoo looked at his crew. This was beyond any protocol they had. "We need to alert Earth governments." "Already done," said Hana. "They're in emergency sessions, but they've authorized a preliminary meeting. Just you and 2 security officers." 3 hours later, Jinwoo stood in the airlock with security officers Minho and Sunny. Their hearts pounded as the outer door opened. The creatures that entered were nothing like the aliens of human imagination. They stood about 5 feet tall, with bodies that seemed made of living crystal. Light passed through them in places, casting rainbow patterns on the station walls. They moved with careful, deliberate steps, as if the station's gravity was difficult for them. 3 Thailani entered, wearing thin devices around their necks that glowed softly. The foremost one spoke, its mouth not moving. "Captain Jinwoo, I am Commander Dury. These are Navigator Siuk and Science Officer Kyun. We thank you for receiving us." Jinwoo struggled to keep his composure. "Welcome aboard. This is historic for us." "For us as well," said Dury. "We would not have come except in dire need." They moved to the conference room, where the Thailani sat with obvious relief. Kyun touched his neck device. "Your gravity is challenging for us. Our world has only 60% of yours." "We can reduce the gravity in this section," offered Jinwoo. "That would be most kind," said Dury. Once the Thailani were comfortable, they explained their situation. A massive asteroid was heading for their homeworld. Their technology could not divert it. The Galactic Council, a collection of advanced species that govern most of the known galaxy, had refused to help. "But why come to us?" asked Jinwoo. "We've barely left our solar system." The Thailani exchanged looks. Dury's body rippled with colored light, an expression Jinwoo couldn't interpret. Your species is unique, Kuhn explained. You evolved on what we classify as a Class 12 death world. Death world? Minho questioned. A planet with extreme environmental challenges, high gravity, atmospheric toxins, dangerous predators, extreme weather, tectonic instability. Most intelligent life evolves in much gentler conditions. Earth is considered extremely dangerous, added Dury. Most species would die quickly there. The fact that you not only survived but thrived marks humans as formidable. Jinwoo understood the unspoken meaning. You're saying we're the tough guys of the galaxy. In physical terms, yes, Kuhn said. Your bodies are remarkably dense and strong by galactic standards. You can endure radiation, temperature extremes, and physical trauma that would kill most sentient species. The Council races consider Earth too dangerous to contact officially, said Dury. They believe humans might be too aggressive, too unpredictable. Then why risk coming to us? Suni asked. Dury's crystalline body shifted colors to a deep blue. Because we are desperate. Because we studied your transmissions and saw that despite your strength, humans often choose to protect the weak. This is rare in the galaxy. Jinwoo felt the weight of responsibility settling on him. I'm not authorized to promise Earth's help. Our governments must decide. We understand, said Dury, but time is short. In 83 rotations, what you would call 67 days, our world ends. Over the next week, the Thailani met with Earth's leaders via video conference. They shared their knowledge of the galaxy, proving their claims with technology far beyond human capability. Scientists confirmed that the Thailani weren't physically threatening. Their bodies, while beautiful, were fragile. They could be injured by a firm handshake. Their home planet had stable weather, few large predators, and gentle seasonal changes. They had evolved for intelligence rather than strength. Earth was divided. Some nations wanted nothing to do with alien problems. Others saw an opportunity to gain advanced technology. A few simply believed helping was the right thing to do. Jinwoo found himself becoming the unofficial human ambassador to the Thailani. He spent hours with Dury, learning about their culture. Your people are so different from mine, Dury told him one day. You move quickly, decide quickly. We are more cautious, more consensus-driven. Yet you made the bold choice to come here, Jinwoo observed. Desperation changes one's perspective. Dury's body flashed with amber light, their equivalent of a sad smile. I volunteered because I have no family. If you had refused us or reacted violently, only I would be lost. Jinwoo was stunned by this admission. You came alone, thinking we might kill you. It was a possibility we had to consider, but I believe the risk worthwhile. This conversation changed everything for Jinwoo. When he addressed the United Nations the next day, he spoke with passion about the Thailani courage and trust, about the opportunity for humanity to prove itself as a species that used its strength to protect rather than dominate. 2 days later, an international coalition announced its decision. Earth would help save the Thailani homeworld. The United Nations Security Council chamber buzzed with tension. Captain Jinwoo stood before the world's representatives, beside the quivering form of Commander Dury. They're telling the truth, Jinwoo insisted. Their planet faces annihilation, and they need our help. Why us? Demanded the Chinese delegate. By their own admission, we're classified as dangerous predators by this Galactic Council. Dury's translator conveyed her delicate voice. Because you can survive conditions that would kill us. Because you build things to last. Because when we searched the galaxy for those who might help the forgotten, all evidence pointed to humans. 2 months later, the international expedition launched. 5 ships carrying Earth's best minds and soldiers, bound for Thailani. Jinwoo commanded the flagship Protector, with Dury as their guide. On arrival, the humans were shocked by the beauty of the Thailani world, and how its inhabitants struggled with its minimal gravity and mild climate. What seemed paradise to humans was actually challenging for the crystal-like aliens who had evolved in extremely stable conditions. "They're like glass sculptures," commented engineer Minji as they toured the capital. "No wonder they feared us." Science officer Taeyong discovered the truth while analyzing the asteroid's composition. "This is no natural phenomenon. The trajectory adjustments are deliberate. Someone engineered this extinction event." The culprits were the Vorg Collective, a species that viewed the Thailani homeworld as prime real estate once its current inhabitants were removed. The 5 Earth ships settled into orbit around the Thailani homeworld. Below them, the planet shimmered like a jewel. Oceans of pale blue water covered 60% of the surface. The land was mostly flat plains with gentle rolling hills in shades of lavender and gold. "It's beautiful," Jinwoo said as he stood on the observation deck with Duri. "We think so too," the crystalline alien replied. Her body sparkled as sunlight passed through it. "Though I understand it may seem boring to humans. No mountains or deserts or ice caps." "Not boring. Peaceful." Jinwoo smiled. "A nice change from Earth's chaos." The first human delegation to the surface included Jinwoo, Minji, Taeyong, and a dozen specialists. They wore light environmental suits, mostly as a precaution against unknown pathogens. The Thailani had provided information showing their atmosphere was breathable for humans, though slightly higher in oxygen. When they stepped out of the shuttle, many of the humans laughed with delight. The gravity was only 60% of Earth's. They felt light, almost bouncy. "This is amazing," said Minji, taking an experimental jump that sent her 3 meters into the air. "I could get used to this." The Thailani watching them seemed both amused and alarmed by the humans' exuberant movements. A delegation of officials approached carefully. Their bodies ranged in color from clear diamond-like transparency to soft blues and pinks. "Welcome to Thailar," said President Taeso. "We are grateful for your willingness to help us." The humans were given a tour of the capital city. The buildings were works of art, towers of crystal and light that seemed to grow from the ground rather than being built. Gardens filled spaces between structures, with plants that chimed softly when the gentle breeze touched them. But the humans noticed something strange. The Thailani moved slowly, deliberately. They seemed to struggle with physical tasks the humans found trivial. During a meeting with the Thailani Science Council, Taeyong asked about this. "Your species evolved in stability," he said. "What challenges shaped your development, if not environmental pressures?" Chief Scientist Nera's body flashed with colors, their version of thoughtful consideration. "Cognitive challenges, primarily. Our world was gentle, so we competed through intellect. Physical strength was unnecessary. This explains why your technology is so advanced in some areas, but underdeveloped in others," Minji noted. "You never needed to resist natural forces like we did." "Precisely," said Nera. "We mastered quantum computing before we invented the wheel." While part of the human team worked on cultural exchange, Taeyong led a scientific mission to study the approaching asteroid. They used both human and Thailani equipment to analyze its composition and trajectory. After 3 days of work, he called an emergency meeting. "This is no natural phenomenon," he announced, displaying the data. "The trajectory has been adjusted at least 7 times. Someone deliberately aimed this rock at Thailar." The room fell silent. Then Jinwoo asked the question everyone was thinking. Who would do this? And why? Duri's body dimmed with distress. "We have suspected something like this, but had no proof. Now we must consider the Vorg Collective." "Who are they?" asked Jinwoo. "A species from a resource-poor system. They have been denied expansion rights by the Council for centuries. They have expressed interest in our world before." "Interest?" Minji's voice sharpened. "They propose we relocate and cede Thiller to them. They claimed their need was greater than ours. The Council refused to adjudicate, saying it was a matter for direct negotiation." Jinwoo's expression hardened. "So they decided to remove you and make it look like a natural disaster." "It would appear so," said President Taeso. "After we are gone, They would claim salvage rights to an empty world. The human team spent the next day gathering more evidence. They identified propulsion residue on the asteroid matching Vorg technology. They traced the object's path back to Vorg-controlled space. The case was overwhelming. Jinwoo sent the findings to Earth and requested permission to confront the Vorg directly. While waiting for a response, he organized a defense meeting with Thailani leaders. "Why didn't you develop weapons?" asked Suni, who had joined the ground team as security chief. "We had no need," explained Director Hanu. "No predators large enough to threaten us evolved here. The few conflicts in our history were settled through economic means. But the rest of the galaxy isn't so peaceful," Jinwoo pointed out. "No," agreed Teizo. "We learned this too late. We assumed other species would develop along similar lines, prioritizing intellect over physical strength. When we encountered the council races, we were shocked by their aggression. Yet they're nothing compared to us," said Minji quietly. "To humans, I mean." "Yes," Duri's body pulsed with soft light. "You are what the galaxy calls Deathworlders, species that evolved on planets so dangerous that survival required exceptional strength, speed, and aggression. Such species are rare and usually kept at arm's length by the galactic community." "They're afraid of us," Jinwoo realized. "With good reason," said Teizo. "Your average human could accidentally kill most council species with a handshake. Your bodies evolved to survive radiation, temperature extremes, high gravity, and constant physical threats. You breathe an atmosphere that would be toxic to many species. You can even digest poisons." The humans exchanged looks. They had never thought of themselves as particularly formidable on a cosmic scale. "This is why we came to you," Duri said. "We needed beings who could physically handle the task of diverting the asteroid, who could innovate under pressure, who would be willing to protect others, and who the Vorg wouldn't expect," added Jinwoo. "They think they're dealing with the Thailani alone. They don't know Earth has entered the game." That evening, permission came from Earth. The human fleet would confront the Vorg, present the evidence, and demand they help divert the asteroid they had launched. As the humans prepared for departure, Minji found Jinwoo on the observation deck. "Do you think they'll back down when they see us?" she asked. Jinwoo watched the stars. "I don't know, but they're about to learn that targeting the weak doesn't mean you're strong. It means you've made a very big mistake." The fleet departed the next morning, leaving a small contingent of humans behind to work with the Thailani on evacuation plans if all else failed. They set course for Vorg space, carrying evidence, determination, and the quiet strength of a species that had conquered a death world. The Deathworlders were rising to the challenge. The galaxy would never be the same. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council towered above them, designed to intimidate. Jinwoo stood with Duri before the assembled representatives of 15 dominant species. "We request assistance in defense of the Thailani people," Jinwoo stated firmly. High Counselor Mog's tentacles rippled with what humans now recognized as amusement. "The fate of evolutionary dead ends is not our concern." Dead ends. Jinwoo's voice hardened. They built a civilization of peace and learning while developing technology or species purchased from them. "The Thailani serve no essential galactic function," stated Counselor Vex. "Their resources will be better utilized by productive species after natural selection takes its course." Natural selection. Taeyong stepped forward, displaying evidence on his device. This asteroid was launched from Vorg space, with Council approval codes. The chamber erupted in hisses and rumbles. Not denial, indignation at being exposed. Later, aboard their ship, Jinwoo discovered sabotage attempts on their engines. "They never intended to let us leave with this knowledge," he told his crew. "We're as expendable to them as the Thailani." "Then what do we do?" asked Minji. Jinwoo's expression hardened. "We do what humans have always done when faced with bullies. We fight back." The Protector hung in space near the massive Galactic Council station. Jinwoo paced the bridge, his face tight with anger. The meeting had gone worse than any of them had expected. I still can't believe what they said, Minji whispered. They're just going to let an entire species die. Duri's crystalline body had dimmed to a pale blue, a sign of deep distress. I knew the council viewed us as unimportant, but I never imagined they had approved our extinction. Taeyong was still examining his datapad. The approval codes are genuine. The council didn't just look the other way. They actively supported the Vorg plan. Jinwoo stopped pacing. Why would they do this? What do they gain? Security Chief Suni entered the bridge, her expression grim. Captain, I found something. You need to see this. She led them to engineering where a small device had been attached to the main power coupling. It was not human technology. It's a remote detonator, she explained. It would have destroyed our engine core once we were away from the station. When was it placed there? Asked Jinwoo. During our docking procedure. The maintenance crew they sent aboard, it had to be them. Jinwoo's face darkened further. They meant to kill us all along. They just wanted us off the station first. Duri's body flickered with alarm patterns. If they would destroy a ship of previously unknown aliens, they truly fear what humans might become in galactic politics. We need to contact Earth immediately, said Jinwoo, and warn the other human ships. But when they tried to send messages, they discovered all communications were being blocked. The council station had activated a dampening field. They're isolating us, said Communications Officer Yuna. No signals in or out. Jinwoo gathered his senior crew in the conference room. The situation was dire. They were cut off from Earth, facing hostile aliens with far superior technology, and had just accused the galaxy's ruling body of conspiracy to commit genocide. We have 4 options, Jinwoo explained. First, we apologize, pretend we made a mistake, and try to leave peacefully. They'll still destroy us once we're away from the station, Suni pointed out. Second, we try to fight our way out, but their weapons are far more advanced than ours. Suicide, Taeyong said flatly. Third, we stay docked and refuse to leave, creating a diplomatic standoff, which they would eventually resolve by force, said Minji. Fourth, Jinwoo concluded, we use what they don't expect. Human ingenuity. They spent the next hour developing a plan. The Thailani had shared some of their technology with the humans. While not as advanced as the council races, it gave them options. Will this actually work? Minji asked as they finalized the details. It has to, Jinwoo replied simply. While most of the crew prepared, Jinwoo invited a council delegation aboard, ostensibly to apologize for his accusations. 3 representatives arrived, a Vorg, a Mrekti, and a Suli. All looked down on the humans with obvious contempt. We accept your invitation, said the Vorg representative, a tall insectoid being named Kraz. You wish to recant your false claims. Not exactly, said Jinwoo. I wanted you to explain something to me. Why are the Thailani considered worthless when they've contributed so much knowledge to the galaxy? The Mrekti diplomat, a 6-limbed reptilian named Fesic, made a dismissive gesture. Their contributions are trivial. Abstract theory without practical application. Yet you use their quantum communication technology, Jinwoo pointed out. Adapted and improved by proper species, said Kraz. The Thailani are weak. They cannot defend themselves. In the natural order, such species make way for the strong. Is that what you tell yourselves? Jinwoo asked quietly. That this is natural selection, not murder. The Suli diplomat, a gaseous being contained in a floating orb named Sen, pulsed with yellow light. You do not understand galactic realities, human. Resources are finite. Species compete. The Thailani homeworld will be put to better use by the Vorg. And what about Earth? Asked Jinwoo. Are we too weak as well? The 3 diplomats exchanged looks. Kraz's mandibles clicked. Earth is problematic. You evolved in conditions that should have killed you. You are aberrations. Dangerous aberrations, added Fesic. Deathworlders rarely integrate well into galactic society. Jinwoo nodded as if considering this. I see. So we're too weak to matter, like the Thailani, but also too strong to be trusted. Convenient logic. While this conversation continued, Suni and her team were executing their plan. Using Thailani technology, they created a virus to infiltrate the Council's communications network. When activated, it would broadcast evidence of the Council's involvement in the Thailani extinction plan to every species in the galaxy. Taeyong and Minji, meanwhile, were modifying the ship's sensor array to punch through the communication blackout. They needed just 10 seconds to transmit their message to the other human vessels. Your species is young, San was saying. In time, you might earn a place in the galactic community. But that requires accepting the natural order. And who decided this natural order? Asked Jinwoo. Who gave you the right to decide which species lives or dies? Kraz rose to his full height, towering over Jinwoo. We have the power. That is all the right we need. Jinwoo smiled grimly. That's what I needed to hear. He tapped his communicator. Now, throughout the ship, systems activated. The modified sensors blasted through the dampening field for precisely 12 seconds, long enough to send their emergency signal. Simultaneously, the Thailani virus entered the Council's network. Alarms blared across the station. The diplomats received urgent messages on their devices. What have you done? Demanded Kraz. Leveled the playing field, Jinwoo replied. Every species in the galaxy now knows what you planned for the Thailani. And for us. Fesic hissed in fury. You cannot prove. We have your approval codes. We have the trajectory analysis. And now, Jinwoo held up a data crystal. We have your confession. The meeting had been recorded. The diplomat's own words condemned them. You will regret this. San pulsed angry red. The Council will not tolerate such defiance. Maybe not, said Jinwoo. But neither will Earth tolerate the planned murder of our friends. The diplomats left in rage. Minutes later, the other human ships broke formation and took positions around the Protector. They had received the message and understood the danger. Captain, said Yuna from communications, we're getting signals from all over the sector. The virus worked. Dozens of species are demanding explanations from the Council. And Earth? Asked Jinwoo. They received our full report. They're mobilizing the rest of the fleet, and they're contacting every independent world in this sector. Yuri, who had been quiet during these events, now approached Jinwoo. Her crystalline body glowed with a new intensity. You have done something remarkable, she said. You have forced the Council into the open. No species has ever dared challenge them this way. We didn't come all this way to watch your people die, Jinwoo told her. And we certainly didn't come to be bullied by galactic politicians. Minji joined them, her face showing both worry and determination. What happens now? Jinwoo looked out at the stars. Now we see if the Council values their reputation more than their plans. And if they don't, he turned to face his crew. Then we show them what humans do when protecting those who can't protect themselves. The Protector and its sister ships disengaged from the station, forming a defensive perimeter. The first battle between humanity and the Galactic Council might be just beginning. But the greater war, for the very soul of galactic civilization, was already underway. This will never work, Navigator Siok whispered, watching humans in specialized suits crawling across the asteroid's surface. It will, Duri responded with newfound confidence. It must. The plan was audacious, using a combination of nuclear devices and mass draggers to alter the asteroid's course. Technology the Council races had but never combined in this manner. Jinwoo led the placement team, even as Council enforcement vessels appeared in the system. Captain, we have multiple ships approaching, Minji reported from the Protector. They're demanding we stand down. Negative, Jinwoo replied, securing another charge. The calculations are perfect. Taeyong, status. Charges at 87% placement. The Thailani simulations confirmed this will work. The first Council weapons fire streaked past them, striking the asteroid's surface meters from Jinwoo's team. "They're shooting at us," shouted Do-Yun, the security officer. What followed shocked the watching Council forces. Humans, despite their relative galactic inexperience, fought with startling effectiveness. Their evolutionary history on a predator-filled death world had prepared them for combat in ways the dominant species couldn't comprehend. The charges detonated in perfect sequence. The asteroid slowly, imperceptibly at first, began to shift course. The massive rock hung in space like a dark promise of destruction. Its surface was pitted and scarred, evidence of its long journey through the void. Now it was covered with tiny figures in white spacesuits, moving with purpose across its jagged terrain. Jinwoo checked his oxygen levels as he secured another nuclear device into the drilled shaft. The work was difficult even in the asteroid's minimal gravity. One wrong move could send him floating away into space. "Charge 7 secured," he reported, moving to position 8. Across the asteroid's 5-kilometer width, 20 human engineers worked in teams of 2. Each pair carried specialized drilling equipment and nuclear charges designed by Earth's best scientists, enhanced with Thailani quantum technology. The plan was precise. 27 nuclear devices placed at exact coordinates, detonated in a specific sequence. The mass drivers, enormous electromagnetic launchers, would fire chunks of the asteroid's own material into space, providing additional thrust. Together, they would nudge the enormous rock just enough to miss the Thailani homeworld. Jinwoo pushed off from one ridge to another, his magnetic boots grabbing the surface as he landed. Beside him, Lieutenant Hoon checked the drilling template. "This spot looks good," Hoon said. Starting drill sequence. The drill hummed to life, sending vibrations through their suits as it bored into the metallic rock. They had practiced this operation hundreds of times on Earth, but never under fire. "Protector to surface team," Minji's voice came through their comms. "We have a problem." Council enforcement vessels just entered the system. 5 ships, heavily armed. "Understood," Jinwoo replied, continuing his work. "How long until they reach us?" 20 minutes at their current speed. They're demanding we cease operations immediately. Jinwoo glanced at the Thailani homeworld visible in the distance, a blue-green jewel against the blackness of space. 40 million innocent lives waited there. "Tell them we're conducting a peaceful rescue operation and request their assistance," he said, knowing they would refuse. He turned to the other teams. "Everyone pick up the pace. We need these charges placed before company arrives." On the Protector, Minji faced the main view screen where Mrekti Commander glared at her. His scaled face showed contempt. "This operation is unauthorized," he hissed. "The Council has declared the Thailani extinction event natural and unavoidable. Your interference violates galactic law." "There's nothing natural about an asteroid launched from Vorg space," Minji replied evenly. "We're preventing genocide, not violating law." "You have 15 minutes to withdraw all personnel," the Mrekti commander said. "After that, we will remove you by force." The transmission cut off. Minji turned to Duri, who stood nearby, her crystalline body glowing with tension patterns. "Can your people fight?" she asked the Thailani. "Not effectively," Duri admitted. "Our ships have defensive capabilities, but minimal weapons. We never needed them before." "Then we stand alone," Minji said. She opened a channel to all human ships. "Battle stations. Prepare to defend the operation teams." Back on the asteroid, the work continued with increased urgency. Jinwoo and Hoon finished placing their charge and moved to the next position. Sweat beaded on Jinwoo's forehead, despite his suit's cooling system. "Charge 8 secured," he reported, moving to final position. "Captain," Taeyong called from his position across the asteroid. "The mass drivers are online and calibrated. We're ready on this end." "Good," said Jinwoo. "All teams report status." One by one, the engineering teams confirmed their progress. 24 charges placed, 3 to go. Council ships entering weapons range, Minji warned. They're charging weapons systems. Jinwoo worked faster, his hands steady despite the pressure. Almost done. Hold them off just a few more minutes. The first shot came without further warning. A beam of energy sliced across space, striking the asteroid's surface less than 100 meters from Jinwoo's position. The impact sent debris flying and knocked 2 engineers off their feet. "They're shooting at us," Do-hyun shouted, helping his partner regain footing. "Keep working," Jinwoo ordered. "Protector status." "Engaging enemy vessels," Minji replied, her voice tight with concentration. "But we're outgunned. We can't hold them for long." The space around the asteroid erupted in battle. The 5 human ships moved to intercept the Council vessels, using maneuvers no alien had seen before. What they lacked in technology, they made up for in aggression and unpredictability. The Council commanders had expected an easy victory against primitive ships. Instead, they found themselves facing pilots who flew as if they had nothing to lose, because they didn't. A human destroyer took a direct hit to its engines, but used the momentum to spin into an attack position, firing all weapons at point-blank range. A Council cruiser broke formation to avoid collision, only to fly into the targeting solution of 2 human frigates. On the asteroid, Jinwoo placed the final charge. All devices secured. Beginning evacuation. The engineers activated their jetpacks, pushing away from the surface toward the waiting shuttles. Chunks of rock and metal flew past them as Council weapons fire continued to strike the asteroid. Detonation sequence programmed. Taeyong confirmed from the lead shuttle. "Mass drivers are on automatic. We can trigger everything once we're clear." Jinwoo was the last to board, pushing a wounded engineer ahead of him. As the shuttle door closed, a near miss rocked the small craft. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. "Engine damage," the pilot reported. "We're losing thrust." "Can we reach the Protector?" Jinwoo asked. "Maybe. It'll be close." The shuttle limped away from the asteroid as the battle raged around them. 2 Council ships now focused their fire on the retreating humans, recognizing the threat they posed. "Protector, we need cover," Jinwoo called. "Our shuttle is damaged." "On our way," Minji replied. "Hold tight." The flagship broke from its engagement, turning to intercept the incoming fire. Its shields flared as it absorbed hits meant for the shuttle. "Shield strength at 40%, reported Tactical Officer Yuna. 35. 30. "Just a little longer," Minji urged, watching the approaching shuttle. The damaged craft finally reached the Protector's landing bay, scraping against the deck as it landed. Maintenance crews rushed to evacuate the passengers as Minji ordered the ship to pull back. "All teams accounted for," Jinwoo reported as he reached the bridge. "We're ready for detonation." He took his place in the captain's chair, watching the tactical display. 3 human ships remained operational. 2 Council vessels had withdrawn, but 3 still fought. "Clear the blast zone," he ordered. All ships pulled back to safe distance. As the human fleet retreated, the Council ships pursued, thinking they had won. That's when Jinwoo gave the command. "Execute Operation Safeguard." Taeyong pressed the detonation control. Across the asteroid's surface, 27 nuclear devices activated in precise sequence. The explosions were carefully controlled, designed not to fragment the asteroid, but to change its vector. Simultaneously, the mass drivers fired, shooting tons of rock into space at incredible speeds. The combined force acted like an enormous thruster. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, gradually, instruments showed what the eye couldn't see. The massive rock was moving, its course shifting by fractions of a degree. "It's working," Taeyong announced, checking the calculations. "Trajectory is changing exactly as predicted." The Council ships halted their attack, their commanders witnessing something they had believed impossible. A primitive species using primitive technology had accomplished what they, with all their advanced science, had claimed couldn't be done. "New trajectory confirmed," said Taeyong after tense minutes of observation. The asteroid will miss Thiller by a safe margin. Cheers erupted across the bridge. Duri's body glowed with brilliant colors of joy and relief. "You did it," she said to Jinwoo. "You saved my world." Jinwoo looked at his crew, exhausted, some wounded, but all wearing expressions of fierce pride. "We all did," he corrected. "Now let's go home and tell the Thailani they can stay on their planet." The human fleet regrouped and set course for Thylar, leaving behind a changed asteroid and a profound lesson for the watching galaxy. The Deathworlders had proven themselves not just physically strong, but morally powerful as well. And that, perhaps, was what the Council feared most of all. In the vast expanse of space, President Taizo stood before the Thailani people, their bodies shimmering with colors of celebration. Next to him was Jinwoo, now an important ambassador to the Thailani race. "Today is more than just about survival," Taizo told the crowd. "Humans have shown that strength is not just about fighting, but about understanding and caring for others." News about human actions spread quickly through space. Other species that were once considered unimportant by the Big Council started to contact Earth. They saw hope in what humans had done. On the rebuilt Protector spaceship, now used for talking and making peace, Jinwoo was looking at reports with his team. Minji told him that the Council was breaking apart. 7 different species had spoken against the old plan to destroy other races. 17 worlds that were not part of the main council had asked to become friends with Earth. This was a big change. Duri, wearing a special suit designed by humans that helped her move better, joined the group. She shared that her own people had voted together. They wanted to create a new group of planets where no species would be left behind or considered worthless. Jinwoo looked out the ship's window at the stars. They were not just faraway lights anymore, but places full of both danger and new friends. "Humans are good at protecting those who need help," he said softly. "We build communities. We find ways to survive." Duri, her crystal-like body catching the starlight, added, "And you change everything you touch. Sometimes that's exactly what the universe needs." A new message was spreading across the galaxy. A species from a small, dangerous planet had chosen to be guardians instead of destroyers. They showed that caring for others could be the most powerful way to grow and survive. The story of humans and their unexpected kindness became a beacon of hope. Where other races saw only conflict, humans saw the chance to help. Where others wanted to fight, humans wanted to understand. Jinwoo knew this was just the beginning. The path ahead was not easy, but it was full of possibility. Earth had proven that being different did not mean being weak. Compassion could be a stronger weapon than any spaceship or weapon. As the Protector moved through space, it carried more than just people. It carried a new idea, that life in the universe could be about working together, not destroying each other. The Thailani, once close to extinction, now stood proud. The other species watching were learning that strength comes in many forms, and humans, from their small blue planet, had shown them a new way to look at the stars.